Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we're going to be doing a playthrough of Dungeons of Infinity. This is currently on Kickstarter right now at the time of this recording. I'm going to put a link to it right up here. If you're interested in what you see in this game, please go check out the Kickstarter. Also, I'll put that in the description of this video as well, so you can please click on that link and go to the Kickstarter and check it out. What this is going to be a dungeon delving game. It's really cool, and it could also be played as a campaign. Before we do start our game, I do want to thank Colin over at the One Stop Co-op Shop for letting me borrow his copy of Dungeons of Infinity to be able to do this playthrough with you. If you looked at his channel, the One Stop Co-op Shop, he has a great playthrough of showing you like the random dungeon delve that you can do, because there are multiple one-shot adventures that you can do inside this game. Also, Adam Smith over at Rolling Solo did a great showcase of Dungeon Infinity. Go check that one out as well. I'm going to put a link to both of those videos in the description below. We're actually going to play this a little bit different. Both of them did kind of the one shot. I'm going to actually show you what the campaign looks like, but I'm only going to do the first mission of the first campaign. So there's multiple campaigns in this, and they're usually about 3 missions each. And the cool thing about them is they all star a certain character. And in the story, that character unfolds around them. And if you play them from the beginning to the end, from how I understand it, it actually kind of has this great story that overlays through the entire campaign, which is really cool. So I want to show you exactly how that all works. So we're going to do that first mission and see how it goes. If you're excited to do that, then I need you to meet me at the table. Let's take a look at the campaign book. As you can see, it's pretty big. And it starts out by showing you all the different one-shot adventures that you can do. So there are plenty of those in here that you can do. And these are going to be played either cooperatively or competitively. You can play them however you want, which is really cool. There's multiple ways to play this. It's a really fun way of being able to change the game up. Imagine playing this cooperatively and then all of a sudden having your friends go over and playing competitively and not helping you in combat. That's kind of an interesting way of doing it. But we're going to be playing through the Dungeons of Infinity Cooperative Story Campaign mode. And there are 30 missions in here, all broken down into 3 mission chapters. So you're going to start at the first one, play through those 3, and then you're going to move on to the second one and play through those 3, and so on and so forth. So there's actually 10 missions, all broken up into 3 different chapters. So it's really cool. This tells you exactly how you're going to run the campaign as you play through it. You're going to find these cards in your campaign game, and that's going to give you some idea of how to resolve the mission or what you're supposed to do inside the mission. So we are going to now begin our epic adventure. Each chapter of the dungeon campaign will show you how you're going to set it up and what cards you're going to use to make it as random as you can. They do lay it out so that this whole thing becomes a story around certain characters. And for example, this one is going to be Indolph Armiger. He must be one of the heroes in this chapter. So we'll have to use him, and then we're going to choose another one to play as well. So we'll be playing with 2 people cooperatively going through this dungeon and trying to complete this mission. Let's check out Indolph Armiger first. Each of the characters on the back of their player board have a unique story that has to go along with their characters that will fit right into that campaign. Indolph stood in the courtyard of his uncle's palace, surrounded by his belongings. He stared up at the imposing structure. The usual hustle and bustle of castle life eddied around him like a stream around a boulder, and took as much notice. My new home, he thought, with a flicker of unease. He squelched it quickly, though, as he had done with all of his emotions in the past few days. He couldn't afford them now. He had only met his uncle once or twice when he was very small, but he remembered him as a hard man who did not suffer fools or allow weakness. He was determined to be neither. "Who are you?" asked a voice from behind him. A young girl, maybe 2 years younger than he, stood behind him. From her clothing, he could tell that she was a noble, at the very least. So he gave her a slight bow and said, "I am Indolph, nephew to the king. I have only just arrived." She smiled like a cat that had found a new toy. "Well, Indolph, nephew to the new king, I am the Princess Isabella. Come with me." And she grasped his hand to pull him away. He resisted, and she stopped, frowning. "I would rather wait here until the steward arranges to have my things delivered to my rooms, and then I must see to the unpacking." She waved an airy hand. "Oh, the servants will see to that. Now come on." One glance at her told him that she was not accustomed to being denied, so he followed rather than make a scene. She led him around the outer edge of the courtyard, through the archway, into a small garden. It was carefully tended, with benches arranged prettily around a small fountain. Isabella unlocked a small gate to let him in, and he saw that the only other exit was also closed with a gate. "This was my grandmother's garden," Isabella said, trailing her fingers through the leaves of some ivy. "Her pride and joy. Father has kept it up just as she had it when she was still alive." She turned and smiled again. "You wait here just a moment and I'll call for tea. You can refresh yourself from your journey and we'll get to know each other." Before he could voice an objection, she was gone through the far gate, which swung closed behind her. "Here you! What are you doing in there?" came an angry voice. Startled, he turned and saw a guardsman glaring at him from just outside the gate that they'd come in by. "No one is allowed in there by order of the king." "But the princess." The guard glowered at him. "The princess is no concern of yours. You'll come with me now. The king will want to deal with this personally." Indolf followed him quietly. Surely once he was able to explain the mistake to his uncle, all would be well. He could not have been more wrong. "No one but me is ever to enter that garden," roared the king. "I am willing to make an exception this one time, since this is only your first day in my home, but I will expect you to follow my rules as do all my subjects." "Sir, Princess Isabella said she wanted to have tea," he began. But the king interrupted him. "My daughter would never flout my wishes in such a manner. I may be willing to be lenient for your arrogance, boy, but I will not put up with such cowardice. When you are ready to be a man and admit your own wrongdoings, I will speak with you again, boy." And with that, he was hustled out of the king's presence. He soon learned that Isabella's delighted in playing these sort of cruel pranks, especially anything that would invite the wrath of the king. She was especially adept at being as far from the scene of the crimes as possible by the time it was discovered. And her father would hear no ill of her. Indolf struggled to stay out of her path of destruction, but more often than not found himself the butt of her jokes. He threw himself into the studies his uncle set for him, hoping to prove himself to the king. He had a quick mind and mastered his histories of wars and was able to solve any task set to him by his tutors. He also flung himself wholly into the martial studies, becoming a master swordsman and strategist. Eventually, the king began to trust him and gave him command of the guard, but he remained as distant and unapproachable as when Indolf had first arrived. Still, Indolf felt he had carved a place for himself, even if there never truly felt as though he belonged. Perhaps a person is only destined to have one home in his lifetime, and Indolf's had been lost with the death of his parents. Now that we've met Indolf and found out the tragic death of his parents and the fact that he's in a castle with a princess that likes to play pranks, we're going to go ahead and check out our first part of our chapter here to see what exactly we're going to be doing in this dungeon. The first chapter is called Into the Dungeon. It reads, "Princess Isabella has been abducted right from her own bedroom." Indolf held the page out for the others to read. The letters gleamed disturbingly red in the firelight. "So deep in the bowels, you will never see her again." Sepharine leans closer, while Simeon stood behind to see over their shoulders. Akchi grunted and refused to move from his post on the opposite side of the fire. He stared out into the dark trees. "Deep in the bowels? What makes you so certain it refers to this dungeon, out of the 100 scattered across the land?" asked Sepharine. "My uncle's spies report an increase in activity of the beasts of the woods. Plus, the wards on the entrance have been renewed. That is the only indication we have of my cousin the princess's location." "So how do you propose we enter, my friends?" asked Simeon. Indolf's lip curled with a sneer. "This is why Uncle sent me to babysit you lot. Are not you and these other experts in your field, friend? That is why my uncle, the king, recruited you. Except for Akchi. Of course, not much expertise required when you have brute strength." Akachi turned toward the group. Then his face suffused with hatred. "Were I not sworn to the king, I would kill you where you stand, little man," he growled. "You could try. cried Indolf, reaching for his long sword. Before the two could move toward each other, the campfire suddenly blazed higher and threw arms of itself to either side, creating an impenetrable wall of flame. Enough! Sepharina stood, hand outstretched, to hold the barrier between the two would-be combatants. This will not restore the king's daughter to him. Let us put aside our personal feelings until the girl is returned safely home. Simeon cleared his throat. So, he said, let's decide how we are to proceed, shall we? So we have to go rescue the Princess Isabella. Sounds like a plan to me. It's a great way to start a campaign. We're going to go ahead now, look at the rest of how we set this up, and then we're going to start our playthrough. The setup begins by finding these cards inside of our decks. Each deck consists of a whole ton of different risk cards. So here's like all the ones for the chest, and you're going to go through this and pick out the ones that are detailed right inside this deck. So we have to find 1 gold, 4 gold, 2 gold, and the King's Daughter. So we've gone ahead and grabbed those. We've grabbed the 2 different ones and the King's Daughter. Now the King's Daughter one is actually the quest for this. So we have to go through this. I'm going to give these good old truffle shuffle here and put them to the side. We're going to have to try to find that chest risk card to continue forward in this dungeon. And how we can do that, I'll show you. It has to do with this over here, the setup. But first, I'm also going to grab these out of the decks and mix them up and place them next to our dungeon and shuffle them up. Then we're going to take our minion deck and remove any stretch goal minions marked with a star. Those make the game a little more tough, and so for our first mission, it wants to try to give you an idea of how this game is going to play through this campaign, so it doesn't want to beat you up right at the beginning, which is kind of nice. We're also going to take all these dungeon tiles, which are shown over here, and lay out in a particular pattern. Also, we're going to place the heroes on the starting tile, which is going to be right down here. Then each hero may either pick 2 items they want to equip at level 1 only and add up to 4 gold in value, or take the coins with them. So that is our option we have. Now, if you watched any of the other videos that have to do how this game is played, if you're doing those one-shot scenarios, a lot of the times there's going to be a merchant here. In this one, the merchant does not exist. So we're going to be able to just get what we have right here. And like we said before, Undolf has to be part of this. Now note, there's some interesting parts for this particular chapter of the dungeon. It says, do not use the threat meter. Normally when playing, you're going to be moving through the dungeon and doing things that is going to cause this meter to go down. And once it reaches the bottom, you'd be facing one of the dungeon lords or something else according to whatever quest you're playing. But in this particular mission, we're not going to be using that threat meter, and we're not going to be drawing Lord event cards until instructed by the story. So maybe once we find this card, something might reveal the fact that a lord might come into this dungeon and try to take us out. We'll find out. Then we begin the dungeon and read events as they occur. So like I said, we're going to continue through here, see what happens to our characters. Maybe we can level them up, get some neat treasure, and hopefully be able to save Princess Isabella. We have our dungeon set up just like it showed us in the book. Here are those decks of cards over here that we'll be drawing as we proceed through the dungeon. This here is our minion deck, and we also have our reward cards as well. There's a whole bunch of these. We're going to gain these through maybe combat or uncovering things inside this dungeon. One thing I wanted to show you is that these are the cards they were talking about that had to do with stretch goals, these little stars up in the top. So we've removed all those. Also back here, I'm not going to show you these, but these are the other ones that are going to go with the other campaigns. So it's really cool how they do this. You're going to find the campaign cards as you go through this. You don't actually know what is happening. The information is pretty hidden as to how this is going to unfold. Now, before we start, I do have to place down all of the tiles that you saw inside the book. And these are going to represent the different cards that we're going to be drawing as we proceed through these. So I'm going to place these all out on the board. I've placed down most of the tiles. I just wanted to make reference to what each of one of these are. For example, this is a body token, and this is going to have us draw a body risk card. We're going to put it right down here just like it shows in the book, and the hero would use 1 AP to go ahead and draw one of these cards by searching the body. Of course, I am under no obligation to actually examine the body, and after it's checked, we do remove that token. Some of the other ones we have is we do have a chest token as well. This one's going to go over here. We also have 3 right down in that row there. And these chest tokens are placed in the dungeon. Now, in order to get these chests open, you either have to have a key or you have to have some kind of ability or an item that can help you get into these chests. You can't just open them for free. And it takes an AP as long as you have one of those cards or keys to open these chests. After, of course, it's done, you open it and you'll draw a card and you'll remove the token. Next, we have our debris token right here. I'm going to place the one that's supposed to go right there. And then the debris tokens are very similar to the body tokens, where you'll spend 1 AP to examine debris, and of course you're not obligated to do it. Once you do, you're going to draw a card and you're going to remove the debris token. The last one we have is these mist tokens. Now these mist tokens, oh, this one's going to go right here. These mist tokens are Bad News City. The other ones now you're under no obligation to actually have to deal with if you don't want to. Now the mist risk cards, you do have to draw a card whenever you enter a dungeon tile that contains a mist. If there is a mist token on the tile, remove it, and there's a list of special things that'll happen based on which one you draw from the deck. So as you can see, we're going to have to power through these 3 mists, and we have to draw these. A lot of these are usually enemies or events that are going to be bad to you. As you can probably guess, the chest is usually pretty good, and the body and debris they can be mixed. There's a whole different ton of things that are found inside them. Now, once we're done here, we're going to set our 2 characters out on the map. We have Indolf right here, and we also have our other character, and we're going to place him down there as well. I have decided also to bring Simeon with us. I'll place them both right here. Now that we have them down, let's take a look at our heroes. Here's our hero Indolf's player board. There's a lot going on, and I'll discuss each of these things for you so you can understand what's going on this player board. We start with 14 health. If we get to 5, we're going to be weakened. We'll talk about that if it happens. I don't want to have that happen. It's Bad News City, let me tell you that. These are going to be his hit chance. He's going to be rolling under a 14. Now this game rolls under, not above. Also, his noise value is 4, so if there's ever anything that has to do with noise values, you'll be his noise value will be 4 in that predicament. His carry limit is 5, so he can carry 5 things inside of his backpack. He's able to still carry stuff down here, but his max carry capacity is 5. He has 4 power at the start, so his damage that he's going to be doing when he hits is going to be 4. He does have 4 defense, so he can resist of some damage coming in. He only has 3 action points, as opposed to some of the other characters. This guy doesn't move exactly the fastest. Also, there's a couple things we're not going to be using at the beginning. One of these is Lord event actions. If you ever take an action where the Lord is out on the board, you'd be putting these cubes out here, and you'll be drawing cards based on how many of these actions you have taken during that turn. And if he also is going to be able to gain items down here. And this shows you the type of item based on the iconography of the card you choose as to whether or not he can actually use that. He is weak to fire and ice, which means he would take additional damage if he gets hit by either one of those type of abilities. Indolf, before he enters the dungeon, is allowed to pick up 2 items that cost a total of 4 gold and are level 1. So we have our 2 level 1 items here. I've chosen a fire robe and a great axe. The fire robe is going to give me 1 more defense, and ice has no effect. So it helps remove one of his weaknesses here, and you're going to slide it right underneath the player board just like that, so it's all set to go. And notice the iconography has to match, so he can wear this without any problem. Then we're going to grab this great axe, which is going to give him +2 power, and we'll place it right here. He can use this great axe. Now, the thing about this great axe, though, is it's 2-handed, so we're going to place it right in the middle to show that it's actually being used by both of his hands. So he can't carry anything else when it comes to his hands. He can still put something on his feet, which is kind of cool. We're then going to raise up these little meters here. So this is going to go to a 6, and this one is going to go to a 5. So he is able to gain some more defense and some more power. That's really cool that you can track everything on this little player board here instead of having to add everything up and looking through all your cards. So as you get things, you just raise the meters. Also, each character is going to gain its 4 level 1 cards. There are more than that. We do have some upgrades, so as we get to level 2, 3, 4, and 5, we're able to gain these cards as well to make our hero more powerful. But you always start with the level 1 cards, and on these cards there's a few things. One, the name, also the level, like I said before, this is the amount of action points it's going to take to use it. This is the range of this ability and how many tiles away it can activate. There is now the range and the tile activation is different. The range is only going to take place in combat. The tiles is a different type of range value, so it can affect a tile 1 away. Down here, it's going to have any of its modifications. So if you see level 1 right here says 7, that means that's going to be the power of this attack. If you have one of these, this is going to be how much it adds to your total power right here when making the attack. So there's 2 different ways to actually be able to cast these or use these different abilities. Then there's also going to show you any type of additional modifications It's also going to talk about any details. Then down here, it has the experience points. So this one's going to cause 7 noise, which is ridiculous, but it is an explosion after all. What do you expect? And this will tell you about the power. Then this shows you how many experience points you get. And as you gain experience, you're just going to track this up here. And when you get to the level 2 experience points here, you're going to reset your thing and start again to try to get to level 3. But of course, you'll move this up and you'll gain some more hit points and that extra card, which is pretty cool. So we have Indolf all set to go. He has an explosion, Dispel Mist, Frozen Fist, and his Venom Fang. And we'll see probably how all those work during our playthrough. I've chosen Simon to be our other character because he was in the story. So we're going to use him. He starts with 16 health. He has a 15 hit chance. His noise is 1. Carry limit is 3. His power and defense are only 2. But he has 5 activation points. He's weak to poison as well. For his starting items, I have chosen the Fine Sword. So he's going to gain +1 power, and he has +2 to hit. So now his hit chance is 17. So good. And I've given him Magic Mail, which is going to increase his power again and give him 1 defense. He needs all the defense and powers he can get. So we're going to move both of those up. His power is going to go to 4, and his defense is going to go to 3. He's also going to gain his 4 ability cards. He has Needle Strike, Agility, Backstab, and Deft Hands. And again, this one uses 3, 3, 2, and 2. So his abilities use quite a bit, but this one's going to add 3 power when making this attack. This is pretty good during combat. Attack 2 adjacent enemies with added power based on the level. The enemy is confused on hit, draw a Lord Event card. And we're not going to be drawing those at the beginning, so this could be pretty powerful to be used. And these all have a range value of 1, except our Deft Hands. Open a chest without a key. Draw a boss event card based on the level. Again, we're not going to be drawing those at the beginning, so this could be pretty powerful to open those chests we need to open, because I don't have any keys right off the start either. That's Simon. He's all set. We'll now determine the order of our characters. We'll roll a d20, and the lowest one is going to go first. We've got Indolf rolls an 8, and we've got Simon, he rolls a 20. So Indolf is going to be going first. At this point, now that he knows he's first, he could choose to either A, go first, or B, he could choose to go last. So if there are multiple people, he could go fourth, for example, if he had 4 players. We only have 2, so he could choose to either be first or second. So honestly, these rolls for us are not really going to matter anymore. This is the only time you're going to see me roll for initiative. But just remember, if you had 3 or 4 characters, you would be rolling to see who goes first, and that person could choose to go last if they want. We will start with Indolf. He will go first. He does have 3 action points. And what can I use these action points for? That's a great question. Here's a list of the ones you can use, causing 1, 2, and all your action points. There are a few that are 0 and half. For example, for 0 action points, I could drop an item from my inventory. Also, I could choose to run, which would cause me to use half of my AP to take a move. And if I'd use, then I'd get the other half of the AP to take another move, basically moving 2 space in the dungeon. But for 1 AP, I could equip items, I could move, I could do a normal attack, block, I could pick up items, I could use an orb. Look at all these things. Shout, use a potion, install an orb in a weapon. Some scrolls cost an action point. I can examine those body or debris tokens, or I can even open a chest if I have a key. I could potentially cut a rope. I could trade with other heroes and take an item from an exhausted hero. Now for 2 AP, I could interact with a merchant. Now in this particular scenario, there is not going to be any merchants. I could also retreat from an enemy, successfully disengage from PvP combat, which is not going to happen at all, and sneak. What if I ever wanted to use all my action points? I could rest, I could cross a rope, hopefully the one that didn't get cut earlier, I could dig out, I could use medical dungeon tile, and I can also do training dungeon tile. Now, we're not going to be seeing a medical or training dungeon tiles because they're not part of this board. And if you were doing the other scenarios or potentially other missions in the campaign, those tiles may become present. Now that I read all the different things you can do with your action points, many of them are probably not going to be seen very much. We're going to see a lot of the same things over and over, like moving and revealing tiles and things like that nature. Those are the ones that you're going to see the most. Since Indolf does have 3 action points, his first action point, I think we are going to move up to this mist tile right here and see what happens. We're going to remove this mist and draw a card. Let's see what we have found. We have found an Anchors Away. You walk into the room looking for any danger, but you see none. Suddenly, your feet begin to feel weighed down. You look down to see your feet covered in goo. Place a -2 AP token on the tile and hero rest to remove. It does not stack. Oh, that's terrible. I'm going to leave this right there. We'll place this -2 AP token down on the map. We're also going to place him right there on his character card because he was the one that was in the space when he found it. Now, if our other character moves in there, he'll also be gaining one of these. What does that mean? It means that I'm going to lose 2 AP going to 0, so he's done with his action. That was a super fast turn. But in any future turns, he'll automatically start by losing those 2 AP. So it's a pretty detrimental token we'll have to get rid of as soon as we possibly can. Of course, the only way to get rid of it is to do a rest, which is going to take all our actions for 1 turn. Placing other token right here is going to end his turn, and we're going to move over to Simon's turn. Now, Simon doesn't want to have anything to do with that token, so he's actually going to, I think, go check out these 2 body tokens. He's going to spend 1 of his action points to move over to this location over here. Now, if you notice, each of these tiles does have a number associated with it, and if you're playing a random type game, as opposed to this one that's already set out for us, you're going to look at this card here to determine what you would normally find inside that tile, because you'll be drawing these at random. And you could play on hard mode or you could play on standard mode. There's 2 different ways. We, of course, have a set map and a set of tiles here. So we're going to use our second action point to look into this body. So we are down to 3 action points. Let's draw our card and see what we have found. We have found, oh no, an reanimated body. It's going to be a monster that we're going to have to take on. It says reanimated body will regenerate all health if its attack roll is 18 through 20. Oh, that's terrible. So let's take a look at this card and place it down next to Simon. So here's our reanimated body, just hanging out with his buddies, in the room. He's got 6 health. He also is going to be needing a 16 to hit us. This is his hit chance modifier. So when I go to attack him, it's going to take me 3 more to hit him because he's lowering my attack chance by 3. It tells me, of course, what it is and what type of monster it is. It's a minion. He has some special text down there. This is the power damage he will cause when he attacks, if he, of course, he hits. On the other side, we have his defense. That's the amount of damage the monster can absorb, and these are his weaknesses. So he is weak to fire and cold if somehow I can pull that off. We've placed it up here. We're going to start with a row on top of Simon, and if there's more than 3, we'd place even more above him. But he'll only be fighting the ones that are in front of him unless he has a range value of 2 or more on any of his ability cards or his weapons that he attempts to fight with. Also, for each row you make, you're going to grab one of those reward cards and place it out here. If you ever destroy the row where one of these is, or a row becomes 0, you're going to gain that reward. Of course, you don't just get it. You have to grab it from the ground. We have 3 more action points, so he doesn't just get to automatically attack. He didn't surprise us. So we get to continue our turn with these 3 action points and see what we can do to this reanimated body. For 1 action point, I could attack him, but I only have a 4 power and he's got a 5 defense, which means I'm at a -1, which means normally you would do nothing to him. But in this game, if you have 0 or -1 or 1, you're still going to be able to do at least 1 damage to an enemy, which is pretty cool. That's not normally in a dungeon crawler like that. So maybe we might want to use one of our skills to hopefully bolster up our power and maybe try to take this guy out. Looking at our ability cards, they're all going to cost either 2 to 3 action points. I only have 3 left, so I'd only be able to do one of my actions, or you could attack him 3 times, doing a total of 3 damage, bringing him to 3 health. I think we're going to use our agility card here. This is going to be pretty cool. It's going to use all 3 of my action points remaining. I'm going to get +4 to my power, meaning my power is going to be going to an 8. I'll be doing 3 damage to him, which is pretty much like attacking him 3 times, but I'm going to be doing other stuff as well. It says during combat, attack 1 enemy with added power based on the level of attack. Successful hits will have -5 hit chance, and this does not stack. So I can't do it multiple times. But I am going to gain the power of level 1, so my attack is going to have +4 power, and if I hit him, his to hit chance for me is going to go down by 5. So instead of a 14, he's going to need a 9 or less. That's really, I think, going to help us out. So let's go ahead and roll up our die and see how it goes. Now, I have a hit chance of 15, 16, 17 with my sword, but he's going to lower it by 3. So 17, 16, 15, I need a 14 or lower. Let's see how we do. Oh, I got a 1. That's awesome. Now, there is sadly no critical hits in this game. Otherwise, that would be a critical hit right there. So we have hit him. We do a total of 4 power, plus the 4 here is 8. He's going to take 5 away. We've done 3 damage to him. We'll place that right here on his card. That ability card does give me 1 experience point, which I seem to already have. That's fantastic. Then we're not going to get rid of this. This is not a game where you get rid of cards. You could use cards over and over. Now, of course, if I use this twice, this power doesn't stack, but I could still attack him with his agility card twice if I have the stamina points for it. Or, sorry, action points. We're out of action points. It's time for our monsters to activate. We're going to use our reanimated body here to attack us. He would normally need a 14 to hit, but I hit him with my agility, so he has -5, meaning he's going to be a 9. And then something unique to this game, Dungeons of Infinity, is you're able to use your action points total, whatever your normal action point total is, to also lower their to hit chance, which means I'm actually lowering it by 10 because he has 5 action points, which is really cool. It shows that the thief is really kind of agile and is able to dodge a lot of attacks, where Indolf, who only has 3 action points, can really only dodge things sometimes. Of course, if you have 2 or 1 action point, I don't even know how you're playing and able to do anything in the game, but you'll only be able to lower it a few points. That extra 5, -10, means he is going to need a 4 or lower in order to hit me. We'll roll up our die and see what we get. We got a 9. He normally would have hit me with that, even with my, if I wouldn't have used my agility card, but since I did, he did not hit me. I don't have to take the 6 damage, and that's the end of his activation. We'll move into our next turn. Now that we're done with both of our characters, we're going to gain back our action points. Our Simon is going to gain 5, but of course we have poor Indolf here, who only gains 1 because he has that -2 token. And with his 1 action point, he's just going to leave that tile, and that's going to be the end of his turn. I know that really seems like not a very productive turn, but we've got to get rid of that -2 token, so he needs to rest in here. And then if he uses his power, he has that really cool power called Dispelling the Mist, which means he can remove that from that tile up there if he wants to. Actually, I think that's what he's going to do. Instead of moving away, he's going to use his 1 action point to Dispel Mist. It says, remove any lasting mist effect from any single dungeon tile. Draw a number of Lord event cards based on the level. Well, that would be 2, but in this particular mission, we're not drawing those until it tells us to. So we are going to remove this token and this from the board. That was terrible, and he's out of action points. Now, of course, I should have been rolling the initiative to see who goes first, but I can always choose because, like I said, the person who rolls the highest initiative could choose to go last if they wish to. We're going to move into Simon's turn, and he's going to take out the reanimated body. Let's try to take out this reanimated body with our Simon. We're going to use our backstab ability here, which states, during combat, attack 1 enemy with added power based on the level. So my level is 1, so I'm going to add 3 to my power. That gives me a total power of 7. Let's roll to see if we hit him. He's going to lower our to hit chance by -3. But we do have that sword that is giving us +2. So instead of needing a 17 or lower, I'm going to need a 14 or lower because of what he did to me. I got a 10. That means we hit him. We did 7 damage. He still is going to be alive because he's going to be able to use his 5 defense, meaning I only did 2 damage to him. He has 1 left before he's able to die. We're going to have to use 1 more action point. So we're going to bring our action point total down to 2, and we're going to just do a regular attack. Now this regular attack, remember, only is going to do 1 damage, but that's okay. That's all we need. And we got a 12, so that's plenty in order to hit him. So we have done finally our 6 damage. The last attack did a total of 4 power. He's got 5, which means he did -1, but the -1 still does 1 damage. So that's 6 health total that he has taken. We have finally defeated this reanimated body. For those 2 attacks, we're going to gain our 2 experience points, bringing our experience point total up to 3. Then we'll remove this card because we finally defeated him. And since there's no more enemies in this row, we get to reveal our rewards. Let's see what we have found. We have found a double death. Look at this thing. It does 3 power. Oh, we need to drop this in the square so we can get this to Indolf because he can't use this at all. With only 2 action points left, it would cost me 1 action point to pick it up. So I'm actually going to leave it there and let Indolf himself come on over here and grab it. I have 2 action points because I used 2 to use my backstab and 1 to attack. So that means we've used 3 out of my 5. I have 2 left. I'm just going to move 2 spaces over here so we can go check out that other body token in our next turn. Now, remember, moving in here does not trigger that token. It takes me an action point to check it out. That's the end of this turn, which is fantastic. Of course, sad Indolf still has the -2 action point token on him. So at this point, he's just going to rest the whole turn to get rid of this according to the card that we already discarded. I shouldn't have discarded the card yet, but we're going to use our full rest to get rid of that. Now, in order to actually perform the rest, I have to make sure that there are no heroes or enemies focused on my character, and if there are no enemies or heroes actually attacking him at this point. And at this point, I do have to spend all of my action points to do this. With him, it's only 1, so it's not going to make that big of a deal. And resting hero now has 0 noise. So if anything that has to do with noise during this turn, it's not going to be affecting him unless, of course, because there's somebody with 0 noise. And also, when you rest, you could gain back some health points. Now, he's at full health, so it's really not going to matter. But you're going to roll a die and potentially gain back some of your hit points. Simon has 5 action points. His first action point, again, is he's going to search this token and see what he finds. I'm going to grab another body and see what we found this time. Oh, we found a key. This is fantastic. This key, for 1 action point, I can open treasure chest. Do not discard after use. So you can open as many treasure chests as you want with that. And notice this little symbol down here. That means that this is a pocket item. It does not count toward the amount of items you're able to carry. So we'll place that next to him. And I think I'd like to keep my characters together, so I know I left this over here, but I think we're going to go pick that up. 1, 2, 3 to pick this up, and then 4 to move over here. And then for 0 action points, I can drop it in this square. So it's easier for him to come down and pick this axe up, which is absolutely monstrous. That again is the end of our turn. I'm going to move him first. He's going to move 1 to go down here with 1 of his action points. His second action point is going to pick this up, and his third action point, he's going to equip this. I wish there's a way to get him some more action points, but I don't. We're going to put this here. We'll place this over on the side here. And he can carry a total of 5 items, so he still has 4 more slots left of items he can carry. That's the end of his turn. I think Simon wants to keep on moving. This guy's holding him back. He wants to get going. Now, Simon might regret this in the future, but we'll find out. This will be a lot of fun. He has his 5 action points, and I'm going to remove this token. We don't need that anymore. And I do want to mention, these are standees, and they normally go on the little things, but it's harder to keep them in the camera if they're standing up like that. It's better just to lay them down on these tiles. In the Kickstarter that's happening right now at the time of this recording, there is a miniatures version now of this, which is probably what I'll be backing, and I'm pretty excited to get a hold of those miniatures and paint them up and really make this game pop. Well, we're going to take our character here. He's going to move 1, 2 action points to right there, leaving him with only 3. So this could be a bad idea, but we'll see how it goes. This mist is automatically revealed when he enters the room. Let's see what we have found. We have found help. You are covered in mist, and it begins to ooze up your body. It wraps around your neck and begins to choke you. You feel your life draining from you. -3 health. Place a -3 health token on the tile. Lose 3 health every round you are on this tile. Oh my gosh, that's terrible too. Oh, these are all terrible tiles. We're going to put a token there to represent this. This token will be placed right here, and don't worry, I've got a card for that, but sadly it's not coming until next round. Sadly, Simon doesn't have any way to check out a tile before he goes into it, so he just ran blindly into that mist and took 3 damage. He does have 3 more action points, so I could move again, and I think I will. I'm going to move up into this mist, which is, again, probably not the best idea, but we've got to find that princess. Let's draw our next mist card and see what we have found. We have found you are covered in mist. You hear a rumbling behind you. You turn expecting the worst. You see an imp scurry off into another room. You breathe a sigh of relief. There's nothing here. Nothing happens. It's just fog. Oh, that couldn't have been more perfect. So all we have to do is get him through this -3, and we're going to be able to meet up with each other. Having 2 more action points, he is going to move over here, and then I think he could use his other action point to dig through this debris and see what he can come across. Or I could move over here and start working on those treasure chests. I'm telling you, I like treasure. Let's move over here. Treasure, treasure, treasure. I love treasure. So that's the end of his actions. He's moved 1, 2, 3, 4, or sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are all 5 of his action points. That's the end of his turn. We are going to start with Indolf. Indolf will move 1 up here with 1 of his action points. His second action point is, again, he is going to use his Dispel the Mist. Now, like I said before, you don't discard these, so you get to be able to use your actions in a lot of different ways and a lot of different times, which is pretty cool. It has a range of 1, which doesn't really matter, but it can affect up to 1 tile away. So this is 1 tile away, and it's going to be able to remove any lasting effect drawn by the Mist deck. So we'll remove this token and remove this card, and that saves him, and he has 1 more action. He's going to move on up. It is now time to see what Simon finds inside these chests. He's going to use 1 action point to open the treasure chest and do not discard after use. Let's see what is in this chest. We have found 2 gold. This is actually going to be part of the amount of items we can carry. It doesn't have a little pocket icon here, but you can bring this back to a merchant in some of the other games. Not this one because it doesn't have a merchant, but that's okay. And you can use this to turn into coins to potentially buy more items. We have a total of 3 things we can hold. We now have 1. That was his first action. We're going to use our second action to move. I think we're going to move up here. We're going to check out all these treasure tokens. I want treasure. And we're going to use our next action point to unlock that treasure chest with our key that we have. And we have found, yet again, more gold. So we're up to 2 items that we are now carrying. We're going to remove that token as well. So we've used 1 action to do this, 2 to move up here, 3 to check out that one. So we're going to go 4, 5 back here, and we'll check out that treasure in our next turn. Since both our characters have activated, we'll start this time with Simon. I really want to see what this treasure is. So we're going to get rid of this treasure token and open this one with our lock, or with our key, and see what we have found. We have found the king's daughter. So this is our quest. It says, you try to open the chest. You use a key to bash it. And you try picking the lock. It just won't open. Oh, that's no good. This chest won't open. What am I supposed to do about that? We'll have to find out, because down here it says, read event 1. Let's find out if there's something I can do. Here's event 1. On the opposite page of where we had our dungeon set up shows different events. And based on what you find in the dungeon, you're going to read that certain event. Of course, all the events are shown there, so it's in your best interest not to read anything more than you have to. So here's event 1. Simon jabs his lockpick back into his case, his lip curled in disgust. I cannot pick this lock. There's some magic at work here. Then step aside, friend. I will try. Sephirian twists her finger into an arcane shape, and they begin to emit a purple glow. Her brow furrows, and she closes her eyes in concentration. Finally, with a gasp, she releases her spell. If it's ensorcelled, it is beyond my skill to dispel. Move, weakling. Akachi bellow shoves his way between the two and swings downward with his axe with enough force to reduce 3 chests into kindling. The blade strikes and bounces off, nearly flying out of his hands, and a deep ringing tone fills the room, as if an enormous bell had been rung. The tone pulses through the place for the space of 3 heartbeats, vibrating in their bones and then fading away. Clearly, we have missed something, growls Amager. We must retrace our steps and find whatever key or mechanism will open this chest. So at this point, we now search through the dungeon again until you find a mechanism to unlock the chest. A tile must be cleared of all other tokens, body, mist, etc., before it can be searched. Place room markers to indicate searched rooms. To explore the tile, spend 2 action points and roll a d20 on the following guide below. If you roll a 1 through 10, you find nothing. 11 through 15, you're attacked. Draw 3 minion cards. If you get a 16 through 20, you discover the hidden lever and pull it. You hear the creak of gears moving in the walls. The sound seems to lead back the way you came. Read event 2. If you reach the last room without rolling a 16 through 20, the room will contain a lever. Read event 2 when you get to the chest. Well, what was once just find the treasure chest has now turned into find the lever. Let's see if we can do that. We're going to spend an action point to move back here, and since all the things are cleared from this tile, this is one I can search on. So we're going to use 2 of our action points to search on this tile. Now this is kind of dangerous because I only have 1 action point left. If I trigger 3 enemies, they will probably be attacking him for a lot of damage. We're going to roll this die just right here on this card and see how it goes. I got a 17. Now I think that's what we need. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So we are actually able to find that treasure, that lever in the very first room. I can't even believe it. That's awesome. So now all I have to do is make it back down here, and we'll be able to go on to the next part of this mission. I'm going to place this treasure token here to sideways to represent where we're supposed to come from. And that's, wow, 17 right off the bat. I can't believe it. We're going to use our last action point, I think, to, well, no, I think I'm going to save him his action points. He's going to stop right there. I'm going to wait for this guy to catch up because I don't want to run in here and find some huge boss monster and just he's going to be able to attack him because he'd probably get crushed. We're going to use his actions now to move 1, 2, 3. He's not going to check through the debris because he's already got this huge giant axe of awesome. So there's not really any reason to find anything else. Maybe some health potions would be kind of good. But we're all 1 square away from this treasure chest at this point. This time now, Simon does have his 5 action points. He will move in, and we will go ahead and now check out number 2 in the event. Now, of course, this could have gone on forever. I could have been moving through this dungeon, having to try to remove all these different tokens, these debris tokens, mist tokens, and body tokens, and potentially found enemies we'd have to fight. Now, of course, I'm not leveling my guys up either, which is too bad. If this is some big boss, and I can't take him out because I'm level 1, it could be Bad News City. Also, remember, this is the very first mission of the very first campaign. So again, it's supposed to be one that's kind of teaching you a little bit about how this whole campaign mechanism works. We'll turn to the back page of our first campaign adventure and see all the different events. Here we're going to find event 2, and it says the companions make their way back to the room that contained the stubborn chest. Unsurprisingly, the lid is now cracked open. I trust this not at all, Simon states drowsily. This is the only lead we have. Indolph strides forward and lifts the lid. Inside is a single scrap of paper. All who seek shall lose the light of day. In the darkness they will stay. 3 and 3, north and west, the seekers shall not know rest. In the darkness she has wept, for in the darkness she is kept. That's it, howls Akachi. That's what we risked our necks in this stinking pit for? I'm leaving. He turns to go. A sibilant hiss echoes around the room. Mine, all mine, sweet, sweet flesh, mine. Followed by an echoing crash from deeper in the dungeon. Place Sentinel Spider in tile 23. Use any standee to indicate the Sentinel, and place cave-in marker between tiles 3 and 23 shown above. Begin drawing Lord event cards to determine the Spider Sentinel's movement. Here's a diagram showing what we need to do. It says it will act as a dungeon lord. Goal, dig out of the dungeon and escape. So we are going to place the Gloomweaver Sentinel Spider and place a cave-in token. If you succeed, move on to Dungeon 2. According to our diagram, we have to place our Gloom Spider guy right here. I'm going to use this to represent him. Here is the debris we have to dig out. In order to dig out, you have to use all your AP, and there's 2 different ways to do it. One, you can use your hands, or one, you use a pickaxe. Well, I don't have a pickaxe, so I have to use my hands. Without a pickaxe, your hero must use all AP each turn for 4 complete turns in order to remove the cave-in. And I must draw 2 Lord events for each of the 4 turns with a noise level of 4. And the Lord event cards are all right here, and this is going to be how our Lord actually activates. So we'll see if we can get out of this thing. Of course, we have to deal with the Gloom Spiders right there, and he's going to try to eat us as well. I'll place these right there because I don't think I'm going to be moving anywhere but over here trying to dig out. We'll see how this goes. And we, of course, have to see what our Gloomweaver Spider guy is all about here. He's right here. Check this guy out. 10 health. Oh my goodness. He needs a 15 in order to hit us. He isn't going to make it any harder for us to hit him, which is kind of nice. Now, I could potentially maybe dodge and weave this guy, because I could get this down to a 5 almost every turn if that one guy uses agility, Simon uses agility and is able to hit this guy. Now, he has 9 defense, so I'm not expecting to do a lot of damage. It's probably going to take me almost 10 turns to take this guy out. So we just need to dig out and get out of here. Look at his power, 10. He's going to do 10 damage whenever he hits us. And it says, when attack hits hero, lose 4 hit chance until the enemy's attacks again. So he's going to go from a 15 down to an 11 if he actually is able to hit us, which is going to be terrible. I'm going to remove this diamond and put this guy right here for now. That guy's no good. No good at all. I do still have 4 actions with him. Now, if he walks in here, he's going to be engaging with this guy. I don't think I want him engaged with this guy. I want the guy with all the armor to be engaged with this guy. So instead, he's going to move 1, 2, and he had 4 action points, so we're going to use 2 to move there, and I'm going to use 1 more to actually check out that debris. Hopefully we don't find any bad enemies, and we find something good. We'll see how it goes. We're going to check our debris, and we found a power scroll. It says, every hero in the room gains +2 power for 3 turns. And this is where you're going to place your time tokens to realize how much you have. Now, this is not a pocket item, so he has to hold on to it. He can only hold 3 items, so his carry limit is at max right now. He can't pick anything else up. I am going to remove this token, though. And I'm going to actually activate over here, and we might actually be able to take this guy out. We'll see. Oh, should we try to take him out, or should we try to dig our way out? Oh, we'll have to see. That's the end of his turn. Now, if we look at Simon's character board here, right down here, it shows Lord Event actions. It says none. So he did not perform any actions that would trigger a Lord Event card to activate. So he's done with his turn, and we don't even have to worry about activating that Lord Event right now. Now I've done some math, and sadly math is against me. This is going to allow me to do 2 power for 3 turns, which brings his power total to 6. Even if he uses something like his agility, he's only going to get 6, 7, 8, 9, up to 10. This thing has a defense of 9. So no matter what I do, I'm only able to do 1 damage each turn, and that's only if I really use some of my more powerful abilities, giving myself less actions in order to use. Now, I have 1 action point left, and if I move into that Dungeon Lord's room, it's actually not going to attack me right away. It's only going to activate based on its Lord cards. So I think I'm going to use my last action point to move over into that room so we can start working on that debris. Let's move him 1 space over here. We're going to move into Indolph's turn. He again is going to move 1, 2 as well and just hang out. Now he actually will trigger this Dungeon Lord. Now I have done a little bit of math with him as well, and it's not as bad. If I still use that scroll, they'll gain me 2 power for 3 turns. So for 3 turns, I could maybe potentially do some damage to him. This will do 3 power. We've already pushed this up to 7, and he's got some ability in here. One of them is Venom Fang. So I'll be able to do +2, so 7, 8, 9. And at this point, that magic scroll that I have will give me 2 more in order to go up here. So that'd be a total of 11 power I'd be attacking with. So that way I'd be able to do 2 damage pretty much each turn, because this is going to take me 2 of my action points. So for 3 turns, I could potentially do 6 damage, which would get pretty close to taking him out. But since I did take a move action, I'm going to be placing a cube right down here to signify at the end of my turn, I'm going to have to draw a Lord event card. If I would have run, I would have put another one here. And if I would have actually attacked something this turn, I would have had to put one here, drawing 2 cards. Now, if you ever complete an entire round of turns and not a single person has activated the Lord, you would still draw at least 1 card. Our 2 characters are going to complete their turns. I know that Indolph still has 1 action point, but that's okay. He's going to just stay right there because I have to use all my action points in order to dig myself out. But now that I got that scroll, I'm kind of thinking maybe I might try to take this guy on. We'll see what happens. First, we're going to draw our Lord event card because of his movement. Let's see what we have found. 0. This, first off, is going to be a number based on the tiles. And if this tile is ever on the board, you would put the Lord down on that, or Sentinel, or whatever the monsters you're fighting that is in charge of this entire dungeon. That would be the card that you would place them down on. We don't have that in this mission. This mission set him right here, and this really is a token I should be using for something else, but we're just representing the boss. If I ever have to use that token for what it's used for, I'll explain how that works. Down here it says move 1 towards the hero with 3 noise. Otherwise, move toward the highest noise. So if we look at our characters, our noise is determined by how much noisy we are. Our Simon, of course, is a thiefy little character. He only has 1 noise. And Indolph has a bunch of armor and he's running around, even though he's carrying only a robe. He is still pretty noisy. He's got a 4 noise. So that means he will move towards Indolph and he will engage and attack him. Now this could change every turn based on the Lord event cards, who this Lord actually is going to be fighting. But for right now, he's going at the noisiest. He's going to go after Indra. Our horrible Gloom Weaver here needs a 15 in order to hit us. I do have 3 action points that I always have available to me, so that means we'll lower that by 3, meaning he needs a 12 or lower in order to hit us, which is pretty tough to... Oh, we got a 17! So he did miss when he actually attacked us. This might be good for us. We might actually be able to take this guy on. Oh, should we give it a shot? The goal of this scenario is to actually dig our way out, but if we can take him out as well, that'd be fantastic. When you take out one of these guys, you're going to gain 4 of those cards, which is why I haven't placed any out over here. That would be really good. Also, my power scroll will work for 3 turns, which means I could potentially gain enough from... He could probably attack him a couple times each turn doing 1 damage, and Indolph again could attack him 1 time each turn doing a couple damage as well. So there is a chance to take this guy out, which would be really awesome. Of course, it would take me only 2 full rounds to dig out our heroes because they could each spend all of their action points to do it. If I do, this thing will be attacking me the whole time, and if it's going to be attacking me, why don't we try to take it out? Not only that, I'll be gaining experience points from using some of my cards in our attacks. And if we can get up to level 2 or so, the progression of your characters will carry over into the second part of this campaign mission. Now, when you go to a brand new campaign, your stats will all go back to 0. And you'll be using different characters potentially. So it is kind of good to keep your guys going, because by the time you get to that 3rd chapter in your mission, you might want to be up at a higher level. So let's try to take this guy out and see what we can do. We're going to start by using our power scroll here. It says 2 AP to execute. So in order to use it, we have to use 2 AP. So we're going to go down to 3. And then I'm going to use my card here, the agility card. We're going to use this to try to attack him and see if we're able to hit. Now he's not going to lower our hit chance. Our hit chance is 15. And of course we have our sword, which gives us +2. dig our way out. If you know me, we're going to try to take this guy out. Let's see if we get him. We got an 11. That's enough to hit. So if we look at our total power, which is 4 right now, based on all of this, we also get 2 more here, 5, 6, and 4 here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is enough to do 1 damage. So we'll put the 1 health on him. I know 1 is, now he's got 9. But he also gets the -5 when he tries to hit us. So he'll be trying to swing at us with a 10, which I think will really help out in the future. He's gone ahead and made an attack. And interestingly enough, for how agile and quick he is, he's not going to suffer a Lord event action. So I'm not going to be drawing any cards for his attack. Now, of course, that's going to be a little bit different for Indolf. Indolf will be making an attack. He's going to use his Venom Fang, and it's going to cost him 2 action points to do. It's going to give him an extra +2 to his power. So his power right now is 7, 8, 9. The other ones he has, this one's only going to do +1. This does a base power of 7, so it's not able to help. And this, of course, just dispels the mist. So his only attack card that actually hit this guy is going to be this one. So he's going to gain 7, 8, 9, and then, of course, that scroll will give him +2. So he'll be actually able to do a few extra damage. Indolf's hit chance is a 14, and I'm not able to add anything to that. So we'll see how this goes. A 14 or lower, I got a 10, that's enough. And with his damage, he's going to be actually doing 2. So we're up to 3 damage on this guy already. That's the first round. I do have to put a token here indicating that I have used this for 1 complete round. Having used his Venom Fang, he'll gain 1 experience point. It's his first experience point. It's kind of funny. Unless you got some from the mist. Did I forget to do that? Oh, I did. Look, he's supposed to gain 2 experience points from the mist. I'm glad I caught that. Well, so he's up to 3 experience points right now. Also, Simon would have gained a experience point as well using his agility card that he attacked with. So he's up to 4 experience points. Indolf did make an attack, so we are going to place a cube there, indicating we'll have to draw that many Lord event cards. And that's going to be what happens. Let's draw our event card and see what happens. Number 24 doesn't matter, but it is going to move 1 towards the hero with 5 noise. Otherwise, move towards the highest noise. Our highest noise is going to be Indolf. Since he's moved next to Indolf, because he doesn't have to move, he's going to make an attack. Now, his attack is normally 15. I get to subtract 5 because of my agility card, which brings it to a 10. And, of course, Indolf has 3 action points. We're going to bring it down from a 10 to a 7. Let's see if he's able to hit us. He got a 12. He totally missed. That's awesome. We're moving into our second round of attacks against this guy. So I'm going to put another cube out there, and we only get to do this a couple more times. Hopefully it'll be enough to take him out. We'll start with Simon. Simon has 5 action points, so he can use both his agility and his backstab as an attack. We'll start with the backstab first. This is only going to give him +3 to his power. This is going to give him another 2, so it's total 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's only going to be at 9, which is enough to do at least 1 damage. He needs a 15, 16, 17 or lower in order to hit. Let's see how we do. I got a 14. That is enough to do, again, 1 damage. And we'll now use our agility to see how that goes. And I'm gaining experience points for that first backstab. Let's see how the agility attack goes. We got a 17. I think that's still enough to hit because I need a 15, plus I get +2 from my sword, bringing it to a total of needing a 17 or lower. So we did hit again with that, doing 1 more damage. So we've done a total of 5 to him. And he's going to, again, gain -5 when he tries to attack us. That's going to be the end of Simon. And since he doesn't take any Lord activations based on his attacks, we're going to move over to Indolf's turn. But before we do, we are going to gain our 2 experience points, going up to 6. Indolf, again, is going to use his Venom Fang. It's the only one that can actually do damage, because even with the +2, it's still only 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in order to damage him. If he tries to attack with his axe alone, it's 3, 4, 5, or he gets 7, 8, 9. Oh, that would be enough. So actually, he's going to be able to make 2 attacks, 1 with Venom Fang and just 1 as a regular attack. Indolf needs a 14 or lower, though, in order to hit. We'll start with our Venom Fang and see how that goes. We got a 12, so that is a hit. That's going to do 2 damage. So I'm going to put another 3 out there and remove 1 of these 1 tokens. So we've done 7. He gets to do another attack as well. This is just going to be a plain attack. It's not going to be using any cards. And we'll roll that up. He again needs a 14 or lower. He got a 10. That's enough. So we did 7, 8, 9, which is his defense. So he's going to do another point of damage. We're up to 6, 7 damage against this guy. Oh, I think we can get him as long as we do really well. Now, if you notice, he is he has a weakness to fire, but nothing I'm attacking with is fire. If I would be able to hit with something fire, I would be doing an additional 2 damage, and he would go down so much faster. He's going to gain his 2 experience points for the 2 attacks he made. And I forgot to remove the cube after drawing the card, but it doesn't matter because it goes right back on because he made a combat attack. Now, he did make 2 attacks, but that does not mean you put 2 different tokens down. You only do it once. We'll draw our card and see what he does. He's going to move 1 towards the hero with 2 noise, otherwise move toward the highest noise. And if in combat, then no movement. So he's not going to move because he's in combat with Indolf. He was the last person to attack, so technically he's facing him and attacking. Our super spider here is going to roll his die and see if he gets him. We got a 1. He totally hit him, which means he's going to be doing 10 power damage to him. With a hit like that, this could really cripple this character. He's going to take 10, but he does have 5 defense, so he's only going to take 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's down to 9 health. He takes another hit like that, and he'll become weakened. We'll start our activations again with Simon. He's again going to attack with the same 2, backstab and agility, and when he engages the Gloomweaver. We'll place our 3rd token on the power scroll. This is going to be the last turn we can use this, so hopefully we can take him out. We'll start with our agility. Let's see how we do. We got a 16. That's enough to hit, which is going to do 1 damage. So we're at 1, 3, 6, 9. We're at 9. So if he hits with the last hit here, he could take out this Gloomweaver. What a great battle this has been. I'm going to use my backstab for the last one. Why not? Get right behind him and stab him right in the abdomen. Oh, I can't even roll the die in the tray. I got an 18. Oh no, he doesn't hit. That's a miss. He attempted to hit him in the back and he failed. So that attack actually fails, which means I am going to have Indolf go ahead and engage him as well. And he's going to attempt to hit with his Venom Fang. He needs a 14 or less, and he got a 14. That's enough to hit him. That's enough to take out this Gloomweaver. Let's see here. When attacking, hits hero loses 4 hit chance until the enemy attacks again. So that means that's terrible. I think that means I lose 4 to my attack roll. So I didn't hit. I need a 10 or less in order to hit him. So I've got my 1 final attack. Let's see how this goes. I got a 9. I needed only a 10, and I did hit him for 1 because my regular attack will do at least 1 damage to him. Now that is enough to take down the Gloomweaver. We hit with one of our attacks with our Simon Thief character here. So he is going to gain 1 experience point. And Indolf hit with his final attack, doing 1 experience point as well for the attack. So at this point, we were able to defeat the Sentinel. We would get 2 reward cards. I think I said 4 earlier. It's only 2 when you defeat a Sentinel enemy. So we'd be able to gain 2 of those, and then we'd spend the next 2 rounds being able to dig ourselves out. The amount of noise we're making isn't going to matter because there isn't anything else in this dungeon that's going to trigger. So we're able to get through the first dungeon. We would now move into our second dungeon. And at this point, we would also take all the stuff on our characters and move into that next area as well. Your progress does, like I say, continue into the next dungeon, which is really cool. I like the way that you can go through a 3-mission campaign and then move into another campaign after that, instead of having to keep on going with the same characters and over, which is really cool. I like that way the game works in that direction. There's a lot of really cool things in this game that I haven't seen in some. I love the action point being able to help your defense against your enemy. I think that's neat. Also, I love all the different ways that each character completely plays differently and has their own set of action cards. I also like that you don't discard action cards and have to try to get them back. You can use the action card again if it helps you out later in the game, which is a neat little way to do it. I like the pre-built dungeons so that you're able to know exactly what's happening in your campaign. The one-off stories are really cool too if you like a fresh dungeon delve. So there's so many different ways to play this game. This game has a lot of replayability. Even the missions themselves, when you play through the campaign, you do have to take him, but you can take way different characters that go into this mission along with him. So it's cool how many different characters there are to be able to play with. And like I said, each one plays completely different with a completely different set of cards. I hope this gives you an idea of how the campaign system works in Dungeons of Infinity. If you're interested in seeing those dungeon delves, please go check out Colin or Adam's playthrough. I did put a link to those in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the playthrough, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol. And maybe later on, I might continue this adventure because I had a lot of fun playing through this and I want to see how this actually resolves. All I know is I have found a way I have to dig myself out. But where am I going? I got to find that Princess Isabella. Please feel free to leave anything in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone. At the time of this recording, of course, this is on Kickstarter. Please go check out the link up for it up here if you enjoyed this playthrough of it, or if you enjoyed any other playthrough, or you like what you see. I can't see why you can't. This is fantastic. There are so many different things going on in this game. If, of course, you come across this video after the Kickstarter, I'm sure the link will still give you a chance to try to late pledge or potentially pre-order it, or go to their website where you can buy it as well. And I'm also going to put a link to the Kickstarter in the description of this video, so please go check it out. Again, thank you so much for watching, and if you're excited to see if our characters can continue their adventure or anything else, then I need you to meet me at the table.